All right, so now we're going to start to work on the profile reducer, profile actions, and so on, so we can, make requests to our back end, and we can send that data down through the state to components, such as the dashboard. So let's go into reducers, and let's create a new file called profile.js. And before I forget, let's go into our root reducer, our index, and let's add that. So profile, and then we just want to add that down here. Okay, so we'll save that. All right, now as far as the reducer goes, we're going to have actions to get the profile, create it, update, stuff like that, clear it from the state. So let's start off by creating the initial state, just so you know what we're going to be working with. So it's going to be an object. We're going to have profile singular, which is going to be set to null by default. So profile is going to hold, when we log in, it's going to make a request. It's going to get all of our profile data and put that in there. Also, if we visit another user's profile page, it'll get put in there as well. So both sets of data will get put in there because they're both an individual profile. Now we're also going to have profiles, which is going to be an empty array to begin with, and that is for the profile listing page where we have the list of developers. That state's going to go in there. So I'm also going to put repos, because when we fetch the GitHub repos, we need a place for those. So those are going to go here. Loading, I'm going to do the same as I did with the auth and set this to true by default. And then once we make a request, we'll set it to false. Okay, and then I'm also going to have an error object here for any errors in the request. Okay, so let's create our function. We'll go ahead and export default function. And just like every other reducer, it's going to take in our state equal to initial state and then an action. And let's destructure the action. We'll take out the type and the what else? Payload. Okay, and we'll run a switch. Keep spelling that wrong. So we'll run a switch on the type. Okay, now I think the first action that I want to do is to get the profile. Also, if there's an error, then we're going to have a case or a type of profile error. So let's go to our types file, which is in our actions folder. So types.js. And let's do get profile. I'm going to copy this down twice. We'll do get profile. And let's do profile error. Try not to put all of them in just at once, because I want to put them in as we move along so it doesn't get too confusing. So get profile error. Now what I would like to do is create an action. So we need an actions file for profile. So actions, new file, profile.js. Okay, and we're going to be making requests. So we want to bring in Axios. Whoops. From Axios, and we're also going to be setting alerts in certain places. So I'm going to bring in set alert from the alert actions file. All right, and then we want to import our types, which for now is just get profile and profile error. That's from types. Okay, and then we're going to have a function here to get the current user's profile. So let's do const or export const get current profile, no params. We're going to do async and we're using dispatch. And let's make a request to the back end. Now, if just in case you're kind of hazy on the routes that we have, if we go to our back end API routes, this is what I want to hit. So this API profile me, which is going to give us the profile of whatever user is logged in with the current token. So let's do a try catch, and we're going to do a const res equals await axios.get, and we're making this to API/profile/me. We don't have to pass in an ID or anything. It's going to know which profile to load from the token we sent, which has the user ID. And then we want to dispatch the type of get profile, and then the payload is going to be res.data, because remember that route returns all the profile data. We're going to put that into our state. Now if there's something wrong here, then we're going to do a dispatch of profile error. Okay, and I'm going to actually send along a payload for the, because remember we have that error in our state. So I'm going to send an object with a message, MSG, and we can get the message text with err.response.status text. That should give us the text. And then I also want to send the HTTP status, which we can get with error.response.status. Okay, so that should give us like 400 or whatever the status is. So let's save that, and now we have to handle these types, these action types inside of our reducer. So we're going to go back to our reducer, and let's add in get profile. So for get profile, oops, I forgot case. So we want to return our current state, and we want to set profile to the payload. Okay, because remember we're sending the response back, which includes the whole profile, so we're adding that to the state. And then we just of course want to set loading to false once the request is done. Okay, and then for the profile error, do case profile error, and we want to then return everything in the state that's currently in the state, and then just add the error. So this will be the payload, because remember we're sending that object with the message and the status, and then we'll set loading to false. All right, and let's put the default in. So default is just gonna, default is going to return state. Okay, so that should be good. I'm going to save that. Now we want to call this get profile action that we created as soon as we go to the dashboard. So let's go back to our dashboard component, and we're going to import connect from React Redux. And let's see, let's go down to the bottom here. Oops. Okay, so within connect, we're going to be getting the profile state as well as the auth state. So let's do map state to props. And also we're going to be using the get current profile action. So we want to put that in here, which we'll have to bring it up top as well. So get current profile, which I'm going to go up to the top here and bring that in. Okay, so that's going to be from, and it's going to be, make sure we choose profile actions. All right, so in our prop types, let's add a couple things. We want get current profile, which is a function, so let's do ptfr, and we're also going to grab the auth state. So auth is going to be, and we'll do this in our map state to props, but let's do pt. It's going to be an object and required, and then we're also going to get the profile state, so ptor, like that. Okay, so now let's do our map state to props. And we're going to get auth, and we're going to get profile. Okay, so anything in the state, in the reducer, we'll be able to get into this component. So we want to call this get current profile as soon as this loads. Now, in order to do that, since we're using hooks, we're going to use effect. All right, so let's bring that in. So use effect, and then we're going to go, let's see, right within here above the return, and we're going to say use effect, pass in a function here, and we're going to call get current profile. And since we only want this to run once, we want to put in our empty set of brackets here. And then one more thing I need to do, because this isn't going to work if we don't have get current profile as our prop. So in here, we're going to just destructure, and we're going to say get current profile. Let's also add in our auth state that we brought in as props, and also profile. Okay, so we'll save that. And let's go back to our application here. Let's log in. All right, so it looks like right here, get profile was loaded. You can see the action here. And if we look in our profile state, if we look in this right here, this profile object, we have all the profile data for my user. All right, so that's now in the state, and we can list that in the dashboard here, whatever we need to. For instance, we're going to have our experiences in education here, so we can add them and delete them. You can see in here, we have the experience array with all that data. Okay, so that looks good. So I think in the next video, what we'll do is start to construct the dashboard. Since now we have the profile data here, we can start to do some things. Now, the way this is going to work is if the user doesn't have a profile, because they can just register and not have a profile, then it's just going to have a message that says you don't have a profile, click here to set one up or to create one. And then we'll have a component to create a profile. We'll have a form to do that will hit that endpoint. All right, so we'll continue on with this in the next video.